This week, we're working on your purpose statements. Now, the purpose statement is essential. You cannot make an argument without one. And essentially, what you're doing with your purpose statement is giving your argument to the reader in a one-sentence form. It's a one-sentence summary of your entire 8 to 10 page researched argument. So, this is a really important thing. Everything that comes after in your paper needs to refer back to that one clear purpose statement. Now, you've probably heard purpose statements, or what we're calling purpose statements right now, referred to as thesis statements in other classes. And that's fine. We'll probably call them thesis statements in this class as well. They mean the same thing, but we do tend to favor the term purpose statement in English 110 for a specific reason. And that is that it very clearly states in the name exactly what it's supposed to accomplish. So let's break it down just a little bit. The first thing that a purpose statement is it's a statement. And I know that sounds pretty simplistic, but if you think back to the beginning of the research process, we began with research questions. I asked you to think about something you hadn't made your mind up about when you started the research process. And the great thing is, now, once you turn to writing your argument, you have answered the question. Maybe you haven't refined every detail of how you answer that question or what you think needs to go in to that answering that question or providing the answer to a reader. That's okay. You can work that out as you're writing and as you're rewriting, but you do overall know what you want to say about the topic. So it's time to move away from the questions. It's time to make a statement. And I am emphasizing this because often I have first drafts of purpose statements submitted to me that still have question marks in them. They ask now what are rhetorical questions, not genuine research questions, but questions that are put to the audience as kind of a sneaky way to imply an answer. We want to avoid that. At this point, make a firm statement that then the reader can know you'll support with evidence further down into your paper. Okay, so we make a clear statement. We take a firm stance. That's the first thing a purpose statement does. The second is, and you can probably guess this, it gives us a sense of your purpose. It tells us exactly what you plan to accomplish in the paper, hopefully without using the phrase, "in this paper I will," or "the purpose of this paper is to." I'm going to be a little bit more sophisticated than that. So, in general, though, you want the reader to know exactly where everything that you include is going right from the beginning. Okay? Take your stance, state it as clearly as possible, support through the rest of the paper. Now, there are two other things that a purpose statement should do. One is it should give a little bit of context. It should set the reader up just a little bit with enough background that they understand why you're taking a stance at all. You don't want to get too in-depth with this in just your one-sentence purpose statement. I will say sometimes in order to give enough of a setup and then make your statement, you might extend this to 2 sentences. One that gives us a little bit of context and frame, and the second that gives us your answer in a firm form. That's fine. You don't want it to be much more than that because the fourth thing that this thesis statement needs to be is unified. And I emphasize unified when I talk about this because I have seen a lot of thesis statements, purpose statements, that come to me with an attempt to give all of the supporting points or a preview of all of the supporting points in the paper in that purpose statement, in that thesis statement. And just to clarify what I'm saying a little bit, a lot of us learned in junior high or high school, in previous schooling, maybe even in some of your college writing courses early on, although I hope not, to write thesis statements for what we call 5-paragraph essays. Now, if you were never taught to write a 5-paragraph essay, great. But most of us do learn it at some point because it's a valuable tool for teaching the structure of a paper. In a 5-paragraph essay, you have an introduction paragraph, 3 body paragraphs that provide 3 pieces of evidence to support the thesis statement, and then in the conclusion paragraph, you wrap everything up. And at the end of that introduction paragraph, you've got your thesis statement, and it gives you the 3 points that then you develop in those 3 body paragraphs. Now, this is not a bad tool, because in general, that is the structure that a research paper should follow. Introduction introduces your point, gives a little bit of context, then you develop each important idea that you need in order to support that thesis statement, and then you wrap it all up with a conclusion. But the problem is when we get too dedicated to that idea that 5 paragraphs is what you should have. You're going to be writing me papers on an issue that's way too complex to try to fit everything into just 3 body paragraphs. You need as many body paragraphs as you have ideas that are part of your argument, or that need to be explained in order to explain your argument, or that you need to express in order to give enough support and evidence to support your thesis statement. So when you think about the number of paragraphs you'll probably need to do that, you're going to have way too many to try to preview all of those reasons, all of those subclaims in your thesis statement. So instead, just give me the overview. Give me the one thing you want me to take away, the answer in one sentence form to your research question from the beginning. Don't give me the question, just give me the answer. Okay? Then let those first sentences in the body paragraphs take care of previewing each of the subcategories or the subclaims or the reasons for that big main claim. Okay? So this needs to be a unified statement. It needs to be one idea that we assume you'll tackle and break down as you go through the paper. All right, so as you work on the first draft of your thesis statement, that's what I want you to work on. I want you to work on a clear, unified expression of your one main idea. Maybe give a little bit of context getting into it, but don't go more than a couple of sentences. You want the reader to get it quickly. As you're critiquing one another, that's what you want to look for too. You want clarity of purpose. Do you understand where this is going? You want to look for just a little bit of context. Do you understand why this matters? And how firm is it? Does it seem like this is something that the reader has already come to a conclusion about it and is ready to present then to you? Good luck, and please let me know if you have any questions. I look forward to reading your thesis statements or your purpose statements, however you want to think of them.